Hi, my name is Vivian and welcome. Today we are going to talk about another plot structure called the 7-point story structure. What is the 7-point story structure? It was popularized by sci-fi author and RPG enthusiast named Dan Wells. At the 2013 Life, Universe, and Everything conference, he took the story structure of a Star Trek game and he used that to create this plot structure system. This plot structure is used by many authors around the world, and Dan Wells also has a YouTube channel with videos where he goes through the structure in more detail. The 7-point story structure is named so because there are 7 important points that needs to be outlined in order to outline a story from beginning to end. The 7 points in Wells' structure. The first point in the structure is the hook, and this is your character's starting point. And this is opposite of the resolution. The second point is plot turn 1, and that is where the events in the story set your story in motion. This is the point where you're moving your story from the beginning towards the midpoint. And this is a section where you will introduce the conflict of the story and your character's world changes. The third point is the midpoint. This is where your character goes from reaction to action, and this is the point where they determine that they are going to go up against the antagonist. The fourth point is plot turn 2, and this is where you are going to move the story from the midpoint towards the end of the story. The fifth point is the resolution, and this is the point where the character has found the final piece of information that they can use to defeat the antagonist. Number 6 and number 7 are pinch point 1 and 2, and these pinch points are supposed to apply pressure to the story. So the first pinch point is where you will introduce the antagonist and introduce the problem to the story. So this, I would believe that you would put it with plot turn 1. And then with pinch point 2, that is where you will have your character defeated and helpless because they were not able to defeat the antagonist or able to achieve their goal. So here I will put this pinch point after the midpoint around plot turn 2. So it seems like the pinch points and the plot turns probably work together. But with the pinch points, you can decide where you would like to put them within the structure, but I believe that's the best way to do them. How to use the 7-point structure. The resolution. When you are working with this structure, it's best to start with the resolution because you want your character to start off at the opposite of the resolution. So for example, if the character is gonna end the story as a strong person, you will need to start with your character being weak. So once you determine the resolution of your story, then of where your character will end up, then you can go ahead and work on the hook, the beginning of the story, where your character starts off as. Which brings me to the next point, which is the hook. Again, once you determine your resolution, then you can go back to the beginning and work on the hook. So if you want your character to end the story as a stronger person, you will start your character off as a weak person, and then you will build it off of, and then you will build their world, their day-to-day, and have your readers get to know the character in that state. So when you start off your story at the opposite end of the resolution, then you can give your readers a sense that there is a change coming And then as they follow the story, they will see the progression of the character as they transform into the stronger character that they will become at the end. The event in the midpoint is what splits your story into two parts. The first point is where the main character reacts to the environment around them. And then the second point is where the character proactively works towards their goal. Usually this turning point comes with a trigger. An event may occur that will cause the protagonist to set new goals for themselves. This is commonly a false victory in which the protagonist does gain something, but they gain this thing at a cost. And this is a thing that the protagonist thought they wanted, but later on they're gonna figure out that that is not actually what they need to achieve their goal. Plot turn 1. This is the bridge between the hook and the midpoint. The hook is where the protagonist's world is established and we see how the world works for the protagonist. But the plot turn 1 is where there needs to be a situation that pushes the protagonist out of their ordinary world and into an unstable state or an unstable situation. Plot turn 2. This is another turn in the story where things are starting to head towards the end. This action usually occurs after the midpoint, and this is where the story's main conflict gets resolved and we are heading towards the end of the story. The last 2 points are the pinch points. Pinch points 1 and 2. So these are supposed to add pressure to the story, bring more excitement to the story. The first pinch point usually occurs after the first plot turn. So after the first plot turn, where protagonist goes from the hook towards the midpoint where they're pushed out of their ordinary world, the first pinch point, you can introduce the antagonist and introduce the conflict. And then the second pinch point occurs after the second plot turn. At this point, the protagonist has decided to go up against the antagonist at the midpoint, but the pinch point is where we see that the protagonist's journey is not easy and that there are obstacles that will be in their way, preventing them from resolving the conflict. So although this part happens after the midpoint where we are heading towards the resolution, the end of the story, we still need to make the protagonist's journey difficult and not easy. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. I do have free how to plot your novel worksheets and character profile worksheets down below. You will get more details in the description. Go ahead and watch the next video here. I'll talk to you next time. Bye!